test.
Check, check. Slide half loving. A very good morning, everyone. So, hope you're doing well today, and hope you're studying everyday's portions. So, a very good morning. And is there any doubt in Parliament chapter so far? இதுவரைக்கும் Parliament இதுல வந்து ஏதாவது questions இருக்கா? Anything that you want to clarify? If not, we shall go ahead with today's class. No doubts? We shall go for today's work. Okay, tell me, Mr. Mani Karupan. சொல்லுங்க என்ன doubt? Yeah, good morning. I was thinking of having a Zoom session if you guys want. Face to face, you can ask your doubts if you have any. So, if there is a necessity, if you feel that, a Zoom meeting of sorts would help, because this is again only the comments through which you can talk to the faculty. But if it's going to be a face to face interaction, it might help few of you, because again Zoom meeting அப்படின்னா not to again teach whatever has been taught in class, but to clarify about the strategy and things like that, about what to concentrate and focus and things like that. So if it's really required, kindly tell us, we shall arrange for one such session. Okay. um Actually, nominated members 6 months குள்ள join பண்ணா தானே மேம் அவங்கள defection பண்ண மாட்டாங்க. Yeah, within 6 months, if he joins a party, he, okay, I don't know if I really said it that way. Okay, let me, during the break, I'll get back to the lecture. I'll see what I really said in class. Okay, and again, I'll explain you. Okay. Tarini, I think that itself I explained what is prorogue. Prorogue means the end of the session. Okay. If a budget session or winter session, whatever session be it, usually there are 3 sessions, right? So any session, if it's ended by the president through a formal notice, it is called proroguing of the session. Okay, proroguing of the parliamentary session. However, before that itself, session could be ended by the presiding officer. Okay, presiding officer, meaning, in case of Lok Sabha it could be the speaker, or in case of Rajya Sabha it could be the chairman. Okay, so they could say, okay, the business of this session is over. Okay, we are adjourning it, sign day, meaning there is no business in the immediate point. Okay, immediate terms, so we shall conclude it for now. Okay, so that is how the presiding officer concludes a session. After that, if president formally says it's done, the business is over, that is called proroguing the house. Okay, and the difference being, proroguing this parliament can be done both after the business is over, or even while the session is running, if the president deems it necessary. Okay, that is what is called prorogue. Okay, president in both houses. What do you mean by that? Tarni, I'm not clear with your question. What president in both houses? What do you mean by that? I mean president of India, not the presiding officer. Hope you are clear with that point. Yeah, yeah. He can end for the entire parliament. It's not just about this house or that house completely. No, 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 no. Okay, what is given in Lakshmikant? It's explicitly mentioned, right? Prorogue of proroguing, prorogation. Okay, it's not right. Okay, yeah. Okay, any other doubts, or we shall proceed to this thing, and let me know about this Zoom thing if you want a session. No comments on that. Because after, from next week onwards, judiciary, your local self government, and few other areas like tribunals and things like that, Nishant sir will be teaching. Okay, again I'll come back to teach you election commission, finance commission, UPSC and CAG. Okay, the others will be homework of sorts. Okay, we'll give you a tabular column as a PDF. You can take a printout and fill in those details and study the statutory and non-statutory, constitutional and non-constitutional bodies. So their class per se is not required, but we will give you an overview about how it is significant for the exam and what are the points you need to look into to fill that tabulation. That is how we will do the constitutional bodies there. But there are some specific important things. For example, elections have to be dealt with in detail, so election commission we will be seeing in detail. We'll be seeing finance commission in detail, we'll be seeing CAG in detail, and some few things like NHRC, UPSC, and a few. Okay, the others you have to do it as a homework. And I'll be meeting you for those classes after this class. So I just thought, maybe if it's necessary, we could go for a Zoom thing, and I can help you do or re-strategize and things like that. Okay, because when we have physical classes, we generally have mentoring every week. At least once a week, a person will get to meet the faculty one to one, and we'll be checking their progress. However, that's not becoming possible in online. So yes, okay guys, about the Zoom thing, just let me know. I'll look for the rest of the comments. We'll see majority, whatever comes majority opinion, we'll decide with that. Okay, so today what we're going to do is we are going to purely deal with not sure, Mr. Manikarpan, because though we thought that schools and colleges are going to reopen, again it's getting delayed. So may not be any sooner. Okay, that's how we can see it for now. Okay. So now இன்னைக்கு வந்து நம்ம பார்க்க போறது, whatever you are going to see today is about the financial part of Union Parliament. Okay. So despite of making ordinary laws, the union parliament is also equipped to deal with financial matters. For example, if government is forming policies, if government is legislating, then it also has to, have the financial resources and allocate those resources in necessary quantities to different departments, ministries, right? And it should be a very planned one. And one important thing that you should notice is you would have read about planned economy in your economy classes, right? So once we adopted the planned model of development, okay, where we had this distinction, planned expenditure versus unplanned expenditure. Okay, so இது வந்து எப்படின்னா planning commission கொடுக்கிற plan படி அதுக்குரிய budgetary allocation will be happening. Okay, unplanned meaning it is not that uh, Nivetita, you should be contacting the administration. Okay, we have the AIA's WhatsApp number, right? You just tell them. Okay, they'll add you in the group. Okay, maybe it's by mistake they lost the number, so just inform them. Okay, so regarding unplanned expenditure, it is not, certain expenditures cannot be planned earlier itself. ஓகே, ரொம்ப முன்னாடியே வந்து நம்மனால பிளான் பண்ண முடியாது. அந்த எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர் வில் பி அன்பிளான்ட் எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர். ஓகே, அது வந்து த்ரூ அவுட் த இயர் ஃபார் யூட்டிலைசேஷன் ஆஃப் த கவர்மெண்ட் இட் வில் பி அவைலபிள். Okay, so that is how it is. This was the way in which things were operating. But however, in the recent times we have moved from this classification of planned and unplanned expenditure, because planning commission itself is not there now, right? So we moved from the model that we adopted. It was actually adopted from Soviet Russia. After 1990s, we kind of gradually did not believe in that system, and now that planning part is almost gone away. Okay, however, planned economy kuria planning nadakலையே தவிர every year's finance has to be planned, right? For example, we are getting x amount of income. Okay, so y amount of money is the expenditure, right? So these things have to be dealt with by the parliament, right? So we, for this purpose, we have something called budget, right? So for every year we need some amount of money to be spent on different policies, and it is allocated through the passage of what is called budget. Budget is a word that is in the conventionally it is used, however it is not found in the constitution. Okay, not found in the constitution, this particular word. Okay, constitution calls budget as annual financial statement, annual financial statement. Okay, so yes, அண்ட் அப்ப இந்த பட்ஜெட்டுக்குரிய பணம் எல்லாம் எங்க வரும், இந்த வருஷம் நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ண வேண்டிய மணி எல்லாம் எங்கிருந்து வரும் அப்படின்னா, ஓகே, there are funds lying with the central government. Okay, the first one is Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, Consolidated Fund of India. Public Accounts of India is the second one, and Contingency Fund of India is the third one. Okay, so Consolidated Fund and Public Accounts of India, they are mentioned in Article 266 of Indian Constitution. Yes, and Contingency Fund is mentioned in Article 267. Okay, so this is the thing. These are the funds. And now we will see in detail what Consolidated Fund is, what is Public Accounts of India, what is Contingency Fund of India. ஏன்னா எல்லா ஃபண்ட்ஸையும் ஒண்ணா வைக்கலாம்ல. Okay, but no. Okay, there are specific purposes for each of this fund, and there are procedures that differ. Okay, you cannot appropriate amount out of Consolidated Fund the way you do in public accounts, so there are some safeguards. Okay, so some amount money is for some purpose and some fund is for another purpose, and the procedure which is followed to appropriate money out of each of this fund also differs. So in the coming slides we will see how it is different. Point number 1, which is Consolidated Fund of India, Article 266. Okay, so Consolidated Fund of India includes revenues which are received by government through taxes and expenses incurred in the form of borrowings and loans. Okay, so Consolidated Fund of India அப்படின்னா அதுக்கு வந்து பணம் எங்கிருந்து வரும்? ஓகே, அது ஒரு ஃபண்ட், ரைட்? பட் ஹவு மணி கம்ஸ் இன்டு இட் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தோம்னா, இட் இஸ் ரிசீவ்ட் பை த கவர்மெண்ட் த்ரூ வாட்? த்ரூ டாக்ஸஸ். ஓகே, டாக்ஸஸ் வழியா நம்ம பே பண்ணக்கூடிய டைரக்ட் அண்ட் இன்டைரக்ட் டாக்ஸஸ். ஓகே, த சங்க் ஆஃப் இட் விச் கோஸ் டு கன்சாலிடேட்டட் ஃபண்ட் ஆஃப் இந்தியா தட் ஃபார்ம்ஸ் அ பார்ட் ஆஃப் CFI. Okay, அதே மாதிரி we have something called expenses incurred in the form of borrowings and loans. Borrowings ஆவும் loans ஆவும் ஏற்கனவே கவர்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் இந்தியா என்னென்னலாம் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணுச்சோ அதுல இருந்து நமக்கு ஒரு ரெவென்யூ வந்து வந்துட்டு இருக்கும். We cannot call it revenue but interest payments, right? For example, government of India has lent some amount of money to someone அப்படின்னா then அதுக்குரிய இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் பேமெண்ட் நமக்கு வந்துட்டு இருக்கும் இல்லையா? ஸோ வாட் எவர் எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர் தட் ஹாஸ் பீன் மேட் த்ரூ திஸ், it will be coming back to the government, right? The expenditure made in the form of borrowings and lending, basically speaking lending. Okay, நம்ம வந்து lend பண்றோம் அப்படின்னா, கவர்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் இந்தியா lend பண்ணுது அப்படின்னா அது மேல இருக்கக்கூடிய interest payments, again it will be coming back to the coffers of the government, right? So that also forms the part of Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, just reload your thing, then you will see it better. Okay, so again I have written what is it. Okay, direct and indirect taxes, loans taken by the Indian government, returning of loans and interest of loans to the government by anyone or any agency whichever has taken it. So this will form the amount or the money found in Consolidated Fund of India. Then the government meets all its expenditure from this fund. Government வந்து தனக்கு தேவையான எல்லா டேட் எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர்ஸையும் it meets through this fund. For example, an important policy is coming up, then from this fund only the amount will go for the government to spend. Okay, and this is very important. The government needs parliamentary approval to withdraw its money from this fund. Okay, so government speaking, government meaning Government of India, which consists of PM plus Council of Ministers plus the permanent executive. Okay, so the government machinery needs the parliament's approval to withdraw money from this fund. Okay, so in terms of budget, what they do is they say, okay, this particular year we have this much amount of expenditure, that has to be made, so we require the approval by the parliament. Okay, because people of India have elected representatives and they need to see how much is spent on what. Correcta? Arbitrarya government should not spend just because they have the majority and just because they have come to form the government through their popular support. They should not be spending arbitrarily, or there can be situations where the government will spend in a particular state, or it might think of some political gains in the future, and what they would do is they will kind of spend too much. And this you can see in a lot of governments. They spend too much before the elections. Okay, because people are watching them, right? They need to show that some work is going on, so it should not be just spending before the elections, or immediately after the elections. Throughout the 5 years, there should be continuous policy making and continuous spending to have, to have our track moving in a proper way. The governance machinery should be working towards some vision that they have consistently. Okay, so the money also should be allocated in a way that it benefits everyone. Okay, that is why parliamentary approval for this particular fund is necessary, and why parliamentary approval for this consolidated fund அப்படிங்கிறது you can see when we read the further points. Okay, the provision for this fund I already told you. Each state can have its own consolidated fund. Okay, that is called the consolidated fund of state. Okay, they have some provisions, and through that, they have they use this consolidated fund which they have. Okay, the CAG audits these funds. You are asking me it's simple majority and special majority. What have we seen about money bills? What majority is it? Your answers are with you. You have to only think. We have already spoken about simple special majority. We have spoken about money bills. And in money bills, what majority did we talk about? Okay, you just go back and read your notes. Okay, so the CAG, I'll be talking about passage of money bill. இப்போ எப்படிங்கிறத நான் வந்து உங்களுக்கு explain பண்றேன் in the coming slides. Special majority, is it? Special, two-thirds of members present in voting. Is that the thing we saw? Okay, you just stay with this. We'll finish this funds and come to the bill now. Okay, yeah. Each state can have its own consolidated fund of state, and the CAG audits these funds and reports to the relevant legislatures on their management. Okay, so CAG can audit these funds. CAG meaning Comptroller and CAG meaning Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Yes. Now, so that is one thing. CA, Consolidated Fund of India. The next fund that we are going to see about is Public Accounts, Article 266. Okay, all other public money other than those covered under Consolidated Fund of India, okay, will be under Public Accounts of India. Did I skip a slide by any chance? Okay, okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, so there seems to be a point that is missing. So, Consolidated Fund of India is the one which will give salaries, allowances of some important positions, important offices like Supreme Court, High Court judges, CAG, judges, CAG, etc. எந்தெந்த போஸ்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் வந்து அவங்களோட இன்டெகிரிட்டி and independence is very necessary for the democracy நினைச்சாங்களோ அது எல்லாத்தையும் salaries and allowances will be charged on the consolidated fund of India அப்படின்னு உங்க புக்ல இருக்கும். Okay, so these are very important positions. Okay, ஏன்னா if judges have to operate in a very independent manner, then they should be given the financial independence also. Judiciary should have the independence also. Writingla. So these funds, okay, the salary and allowances of such important and independent offices will be taken from Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, I'll talk about what is meant by charged expenditure and non-charged. Okay, votable, non-votable, next slide la நம்ம அதெல்லாம் பார்ப்போம். But for now, stay with this understanding. Okay, now coming to public accounts, Article 266. All other public money, okay, Consolidated Fund of India la varada mata ella expenditure, it will be a part of this thing. Okay, and also whatever is coming income எதுல இருந்து வரும், excluding taxes and loan expendituresல இருந்து வரக்கூடிய interest payments. Okay, அது அல்லாத other things will form part of the public money under public accounts. Okay, so public account of India இதுக்கு கீழ you can see that this is made up of bank saving accounts of various ministries and departments. Okay, bank saving accounts of ministries and departments, not individuals. Okay, then National Savings Fund, Defense Fund, National Investment Fund, National Calamity and Contingency Fund, Provident Fund, Postal Insurance, இந்த மாதிரியான other funds. Okay, this will form the part of public account of India. And here you can see these are not that very as important as the consolidated fund. So here you do not need the permission of the parliament to take advances from this account. If you are taking some amount of money from the public accounts to use it for some purpose, you do not need any parliamentary approval. Okay, and each state can have its own similar accounts, public accounts. Just like they have a consolidated fund of state, they can also have a public fund of state, and that also can be audited by CAG. Now coming to what is called the contingency fund. Contingency na enna? A necessity. Okay, there is some adverse situation requiring immediate action. அப்ப வந்து என்ன பண்ணிட்டு இருக்க முடியாது, you cannot go to the parliament asking for approval, this much money we want அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. ஏன்னா parliament will not be in session all the time throughout the year, right? So when there is a disaster situation, can you wait for the recommendation or approval of the parliament to take money for spending? No, you cannot. So for meeting unforeseen expenditure, unforeseen னா என்னங்க, முன்னே எதிர்பாராத விஷயங்கள். Okay, you would have not seen such situation coming up, like a disaster, like a calamity. Okay, unexpected and unforeseen expenditure, if it has to be met, then we have this contingency fund for it. Okay, and this is made available through article 267(1) of the Constitution of India. The corpus amount, the amount that is there is rupees 500 crore. So unlike the Consolidated Fund of India and Public Accounts of India, which is not frozen. Frozen meaning it's not, the corpus amount is not fixed. Okay, in Public Accounts of India or the Consolidated Fund of India, income keeps coming, expenditure keeps going. It's not like a settled corpus, right? However, in Contingency Fund of India, it's a fixed corpus amount of rupees 500 crore. Okay, the Secretary, Finance Ministry holds this fund on behalf of the President of India. Okay, on behalf of President, the Finance Ministry or secretaries will hold the money. Okay, will hold this fund. They are in charge for this fund. Okay, so President will make expenditures out of this particular account, contingency fund. ஓகே, அவசர காலத்துல பிரசிடென்ட்டோட நேம்ல தான் இந்த மணி எடுத்து ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணப்படும். பட் இட் இஸ் ஹெல்ட் ஆன் பிஹாஃப் ஆஃப் ஹிம் பை a secretary in the finance ministry. Okay, so this is about the funds available with government of India, right? The first one, that is Consolidated Fund of India, requires parliamentary approval. The second one, Public Accounts of India, does not require. Contingency Fund is for immediate and unforeseen expenditures. It is held by the President of India. On behalf of him, the secretary in finance ministry holds it. The corpus is fixed in the case of contingency fund, which is rupees 500 crore, whereas it is not fixed in the other two funds. Contingency Fund of India is for some important purposes and very important expenditures and schemes of some policy implications. That is why we have Consolidated Fund, and that Consolidated Fund is the source of charged expenditure. Charged expenditure meaning any salary, allowance, and other important money spent on independent and important offices given under Constitution of India, like the judges of the High Court and Supreme Court. Okay, so this is how the three funds are different, and just know about this. Now coming to here comes that charged expenditure point. Okay, so charged expenditure or non-votable charges. Non-votable charges are called charged expenditures, and no voting takes place for the amount involved in these expenditures for their withdrawal from Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, so this means a salary has been fixed for all the Supreme Court judges. CJI plus the Supreme Court judges, a salary amount will be fixed, right? So in that amount, you go refer to your book about audits. Okay, they do. Okay, that is why it is said, disaster management la ipdi funds send பண்ணிருக்காங்க, அப்படி spend பண்ணிருக்காங்க அப்படிங்கறதெல்லாம் வரும். So you just go through your book and look into that fact. But what CAG will be auditing நம்ம CAG படிக்கும்போது படிப்போம். Okay, in detail what he will and what he can't அப்படின்னு. Okay, so now non-votable charges are called charged expenditure. Non-votable na enna, parliamentல இருக்க MPs cannot vote about the spending of that particular money. Why is it kept that way? If parliamentarians are to decide whether Supreme Court judge in the year இவ்ளோ அவங்களுக்கு கொடுக்கிறது ஓகேயா ஃபைனா அப்படின்னு கேட்டா, then it's a problematic thing, right? Judiciary has to be independent. Okay, and some offices like CAG have to be very independent, right? So if they are um, subject to looking forward to parliament's approval for money for the expenses, then it will be problematic. Okay, there will not be proper separation of powers. Okay, it will seem like they are dependent on the union parliament, right? So in order to have a impartial, integrated and independent judiciary, they have something called the charged expenditure. Not just judiciary, there are other posts also whose salaries, allowances, expenses, everything has been charged from Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, so just for an example, I am saying judiciary. Okay, so in this case, no voting takes place. Hope it is clear why no voting is allowed for the charged expenditure. Okay, since no voting is allowed, it is called non-votable charges. Okay, means that they have to be paid in any case, whether the budget is passed or not. Okay, whether the budget document, okay, regarding schemes, policies, this year's allocation, etc., etc., everything, whether those things get passed or not, that is, a finance bill is getting passed or not, this charged expenditure will however be charged from CFI, and it will be given to the offices. Okay, so that is why it is called non-votable charges. Here is a example, all the examples of charged funds, that is charged expenditure from Consolidated Fund of India is given here. Okay, you can go through the examples like salaries and allowance of president, speaker, deputy speaker, chairman, salaries and allowance of Supreme Court judges, pension of Supreme Court as well as High Court. All these things are charged expenditure. Okay, that is to maintain the integrity of the office and impartial functioning of those offices. Okay, these are very important offices, right? If you see here, they are very important. They are fundamental for democracy to be operational in a good way. Yes. Now coming to the next thing, votable or voted expenditures. அப்படின்னா என்ன அப்படின்னா, the votable part is the actual budget. Okay, the expenditures in the budget are in the forms of demand for grants. Okay, so demand for grants அப்படின்னா, each ministry will demand, each ministry will demand. Okay, now let's suppose Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Okay, this year we have COVID vaccination thing. Then we have health infrastructure demands. Okay, we are creating medical education related this thing. So they'll have a proposals and they will give their demands. Okay, Demands when approved become grants. Okay, demands when approved by parliament, it becomes a grant, right? So that is what is called demand for grants. எங்களுக்கு இவ்வளோ அமௌண்ட் கிராண்ட் பண்ணுங்கன்னு டிமாண்ட் பண்றாங்க. Okay, and that is voted by the parliament. Okay, that is what we call approval by the parliament. It is voted by the parliament and it is done. Okay, so முதல்ல தான் வந்து they can I mean அந்த charged expenditureல ஓட்டிங்கிறதே பாசிபிள் கிடையாது, ஓட்டே பண்ண மாட்டாங்க. Okay, this in this thing they will vote. During war time, government will cut down Supreme Court judges' salary. We have spoken about situations, emergency of three types. Okay, in national emergency, no cutting down expenditure is seen. In president's rule, there is no such thing. Judges' salary can be reduced when there is financial emergency only. It's not about war time. Okay, I really kind of wonder how you get such doubts because um, by being in preparation for some months and reading polity, Lakshmikant or reading Basu or whatever, uh, these are like very simple facts and okay, however, good. Anyway, you are interested in knowing certain things. Fine. Okay, now இப்போ வந்து so far we have seen what are the funds available with the government for spending. Then we saw um, அந்த எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சரோட நேச்சர் என்ன அப்படிங்கறது பார்த்தோம். When we saw votable and voted expenditure, charged expenditure, we just saw the nature of the expenditure so far. Nature of the expenditure and the process involved in approving, right? So the real process, how it is passed in stages and what is the real nature அப்படிங்கிறது, by distinguishing it with ordinary bill, money bill and things like that, we need to see now. Okay, yes. So before getting into that part, can we recall how ordinary bill is generally passed? We have done a flow chart of sorts in our last class just to kind of revisit that. First, there will be, it can be introduced by what type of taxes come under CFI. I have told you it's all the taxes, all the taxable income. Okay, direct and indirect taxes, all that come into Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, you can see that it is not a part of public accounts tax income, right? So which means all taxes come under Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, yes. So ordinary bill, it can be brought by a private member or it can be brought by ministers or anyone. That's the basic logic. Okay, okay, so it is tabled by them in the parliament. So there will be a first reading. Minister or private member will ask for leave, meaning they will ask a permission to uh, present the bill or the draft in the assembly. Then, so it this at this stage they will read the title of the bill and the objective behind preparing such a bill. Here you will not see any discussion, and now it will be published in the gazette. Okay, the bill's draft form will be published in the Gazette of India. Okay, so then it will come for the second reading. Okay, here general discussion will happen. We have seen about it, right? General discussion. Okay, general discussion meaning they will see the objective and they'll not go into facts. Okay, for instance, let's take this motor vehicle act. Okay, so if motor vehicle act, when they are passing, they'll not go into the specifics of how much fine to be done, this that, but they will discuss the objective. Okay, we already have a motor vehicle act, now we are amending it, so what is the necessity? Okay, what necessitates this particular act or draft? Okay, so through this, what are we trying to achieve? Okay, number of accidents reduce பண்ணணுமா, அதுக்கு இதுல உண்மையாலுமே பில்லுல provision இருக்கா? So these kind of general discussions will happen at this particular stage. After this general discussion, the bill can be referred for consideration, or it can be sent to the select committees, or it can be sent to the joint committees, or it can be left open for the public opinion. Okay, these are the possibilities. Then after the committee stage, if it goes to the committee, then committee will give some recommendations about how possible it is to implement this act, and whether it is necessary, whether it is scientifically and factually right, and things like that. Through that, it will again come back to the house of the parliament after the study by the committees. Okay, then the house members will consider it class by class. They'll read everything, and they'll come up with a proper discussion. So there will be a third reading. Okay, third reading, and at this stage they will decide whether to accept or reject the bill. Okay, and if passed by Lok Sabha, then it will go to Rajya Sabha. There will again happen this first reading, second reading, and the third reading, the similar procedure. Okay, so Rajya Sabha can amend it. If it amends, then it has to give back to Lok Sabha for Lok Sabha to approve the new amendment made by Rajya Sabha. Or otherwise, if they agree with whatever has been said by Lok Sabha itself, Rajya Sabha, then they can just like that send it for the president's assent, then it becomes a act. Or Rajya Sabha can, sit on the bill, creating a deadlock kind of a situation, which will have a joint session of parliament. So this is how the ordinary act or legislation process is happening in the union parliament. Now we will see how ordinary bill is different from money bill. Okay, as I have mentioned what is unique for money bill, you will now say what is the case for ordinary bill. Okay, so introduced only in Lok Sabha. Ordinary bill, how about ordinary bill? Ordinary bill can be introduced in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, both. Yes. And money bill has to be introduced only by a minister. How about ordinary bill? We already saw it can be a private member, meaning an MP or a minister. Okay. Only on recommendation of president. Not necessary. Yes. Recommendation of president is not necessary for ordinary bills. Money bill, it cannot be amended or recommended by Rajya Sabha. Can be amended by Rajya Sabha. Okay. Now coming to this point, speaker certification. Speaker வந்து certify பண்ணணும் மணி பில்ல. வி சா மணி பில், ஒரு பில் மணி பில்லா இல்லையா அப்படிங்கிற டெசிஷன். Classifying a bill as a ordinary bill or a money bill lies with speaker னு சொன்னோம். He is the final authority. We also saw the example of how Aadhar bill was passed as a money bill. Okay, however Aadhar bill is not a per se, it has no direct money bill implication. ஏன்னா நம்ம money bill ஓட definition next slideல பார்ப்போம். Then you can see if it falls under the category or not. Okay, so speaker certification is necessary or not? Speaker certification is not necessary. Okay, ordinary bill is a ordinary bill. That doesn't require speaker certification of it as a ordinary bill. It's very evident. Okay, only money bills require certification. Then money bills defeat leads to resignation of government. No such thing. If ordinary bill is defeated, then again the person, if it is a private member, he will redraft it. Okay, he'll make the bill better and he will again try to table it. Or if it is minister, again the same thing is going to happen. They will again have some consultations, reframe the bill, okay, change some provisions, and then again they are going to table it in the parliament. Okay, so that is how it will happen. Now, approved or rejected but cannot written by president. Okay, uh, returning for recommendation அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து it's not there in money bill. However, in case of ordinary bills, he can accept, he can give, that is, he can give his assent, he can reject it, or he can even return it for reconsideration by the parliament. Right? So these are the differences between ordinary bill and money bill. So now we'll move on to the definition. What exactly is a money bill? Money bill na enna? அது எந்தெந்த மாதிரி விஷயத்தோட டீல் பண்றதுனால it is called so. Okay, so a bill shall be deemed to be a money bill if it contains only provisions dealing with all of the following matters. Okay, there are 6 points. Okay, in the Constitution of India. Constitution of India through Article 110 itself clearly says there are 6 things. Okay, I have listed the other 3 in the next slide. So the 6 things, if a bill has provisions dealing with any of these 6 things, then it can be called a money bill. அப்படின்னு constitutionally it has been said. Okay, so we'll see them now. The imposition, abolition, remission, alteration, or regulation of any tax. ஓகே, எந்த டாக்ஸா இருந்தாலும் அதை இம்போஸ் பண்றது, அபாலிஷ் பண்றது, ரெமிஷன் ஆஃப் இட், தட் இஸ் taking it back, alteration of it, or regulating that particular taxation. Okay, if even if it is GST or whatever. Okay, so all this require a money bill. Okay, so this can be coming under money bill. Then the regulation of borrowing of money or the giving of any guarantee by the government of India, or the amendment of the law with respect to any financial obligation undertaken or to be undertaken by the government of India. அதாவது if it is about the government's lending. Okay, government's lending or government கீழ இருக்கிற units. Okay, public sector undertakings or any government machineries lending. Okay, so the regulating of that borrowing of money or giving a guarantee by government of India. Okay, for example, we have this T-bills, treasury bills kind of things, no, securities and market instruments which have government of India's guarantee when government of India itself issues it. So இந்த மாதிரி எல்லாம் government of Indiaவே பண்ணும்போது there is a responsibility attached to it, right? So இந்த மாதிரி விஷயம்லாம் it will come under money bill. They are very important things. Then the custody of the consolidated fund, the custody of consolidated fund or the contingency fund of India, the payment of monies into or withdrawal of money from any such fund. Okay, consolidated fundலயோ அல்லது contingency fundலோ அதை யாரு மெயின்டைன் பண்றாங்க? The custodian. Okay, contingency fund கேஸ்ல பார்த்தோம் it lies with president but on behalf of him a secretary holds it அப்படின்னு. Consolidated Fund of India is maintained by the government of India itself, right? So the custody of these funds, if it is changing, or the payment of money into or withdrawal. ஓகே, இப்போ நீங்க கன்சாலிடேட்டட் ஃபண்ட் ஆஃப் இந்தியால இருந்து தான் வந்து அந்த சார்ஜ் எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர் எடுக்க போறீங்க, கரெக்டா? அப்ப அந்த சார்ஜ் எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர் ஒவ்வொரு வருஷமும் எடுக்கிறதுக்கு என்ன வேணும்? மணி பில் வேணும். Okay, so the payment of monies into or withdrawal of money from these two bills require a money bill to be passed. Okay, in case of contingency fund, it's not necessary that always this thing, withdrawal or removal. If a contingency fund நம்ம emergency situation க்கு தான் பார்த்தோம். கரெக்டா? அங்க வந்து பார்லிமெண்டரி அப்ரூவல் எல்லா டைமும் இருக்கணுங்கிற அவசியம் கிடையாது. பட் ஹவெவர், இன் ஜெனரல், இஃப் தேர் இஸ் a necessity to change the corpus amount or the basic, the nature of the fund itself, then it requires a money bill. However, not immediate or disaster related situations எல்லாம் வந்து not necessarily approval and the passage of bill kind of rigorous இருக்காது. Okay, so that you need to understand. Then the appropriation of monies out of Consolidated Fund of India, which I said already, declaring of any expenditure to be expenditure charged on Consolidated Fund of India. ஏற்கனவே Constitution of India ஏற்கனவே கான்ஸ்டியூஷன் ஆஃப் இந்தியால தேர் ஆர் offices or positions which have their expenditure charged on Consolidated Fund of India. But if they want to create a new office, now Union Parliament comes up with a new office. Okay, constitutional position itself ne vachikongla. In that case, what they have to do, it has to be passed as a money bill. Okay, இந்த மாதிரி நம்ம ஒரு நியூ ஆஃபீஸ் கிரியேட் பண்ணியிருக்கோம் கான்ஸ்டியூஷன் கீழே, அண்ட் தட் is a very important position whose expenditure is charged on Consolidated Fund of India. அப்படிங்கறது it has to be brought under the money bill. Okay, then the receipt of money on account of the Consolidated Fund of India or the public account of India or the custody or in general anything that has to do with um, receiving or giving away money, okay, by the government of India, so that requires money bill. GST, by time, what do you mean by the time? How long did it take? Tell me. Because it was proposed by UPA when Mr. P. Chidambaram was finance minister, he proposed it. But when NDA came up, they passed it. But it was not like it came to parliament and it was taking months, I mean years. Okay, months only it took. Yeah, anything that has to do a monumental change in the structure of taxation will require a lot of debate and deliberation. That is a considerable amount of time. Just like that, in a day, if you pass some 20 bills, that doesn't mean the parliament is functioning efficiently, which is a scenario that's seen in the recent days. But however, if the parliament is really efficiently functioning, it means that it should be debated more, not destructive debates like in the form of abusing one another verbally, non-verbally, etc., etc. Not that thing, but however, there has to be constructive debates taking place in the floor. If it is delayed due to constructive debates and lot of considerations taking place between the ruling party and opposite party, then it means something meaningful is actually coming out of it. Fine, so that is something appreciable. Okay, so yeah, in GST's case, it took a lot of time because it's a very monumental step, and it had a lot of problems like the tax slabs. Okay, the four slabs that it had, and the classification of goods itself was a major problem, and what to leave out of GST. If you know what is left out of GST and things like that, you will be knowing about it, ரைட். ஸோ இந்த மாதிரியான விஷயங்கள்லாம் நிறைய டிபேட் பண்ண வேண்டி இருந்தது. இப்போவும் கூட வி ஹாவ் தி fuels left out of the GST. So the thing is, reasonable amount of time spent on discussions and deliberations is fine. In case of GST, it was proposed by one government and passed by another government, so it was a bigger duration. Okay, so this is what money bill is about. Okay, so money bill, இது இல்லாம we have something called finance bill type 1 and type 2. Okay, so finance bill 1, type 1, it is defined as a bill that contains matters not only related to Article 110 but also other matters of finance. Okay, whatever is not mentioned in money bill can also be a part of finance bill. Okay, so not only meaning, it can also include money bill kind of things plus others. Okay, related to money bill, this you need to remember, related to money bill. That's why I said kind. Okay, so அப்ப இது ரெண்டுக்கும் difference இல்லையா அப்படின்னா it's there. It's similar with money bill. It's introduced only in Lok Sabha, similar to money bill. It's introduced only on the recommendation of president. Okay, it is introduced only in Lok Sabha, like money bill itself. It is introduced only on the recommendation of the president. It's different from money bill in these three aspects. Eppadi? It can be either rejected or amended by the Rajya Sabha, which is not the case with money bill. Yes, Rajya Sabha has no power when it comes to money bills. We saw it, right? There, but this finance bill, it can be either rejected or amended by the Rajya Sabha. Okay, so you see, money bills, money bill powers of Rajya Sabha is different from money bill powers when it comes to finance bill. Inge, whatever they do is irrelevant. Whatever is done in terms of money bill is irrelevant when it comes to Rajya Sabha. But however, in finance bill, they can accept or reject or amend. Okay, so all the powers they have when it comes to finance bill. ஏன் அப்படி finance bill அப்ப என்ன இருக்கு? It is not straight away related to the provisions in money bill, but things related to money bill, anything supplementary, not so prominent, can be contained in a finance bill. Okay, along with other matters of finance, so not that important. As mentioned, you know, all the important taxation related, expenditure related things come under money bill, correct? So not so important things tha now it comes under Rajya Sabha, I mean finance bill. So that is why it is allowed to be you know, discussed and passed by the Rajya Sabha. Okay, there is a provision of joint sitting summoned by president in case of deadlock. This is very very unique, right? We have seen money bill has no joint sitting. ஏன்னா மணி பில்லுக்கு லோக்சபாலேயே ஆதரவு இல்லாத போது லோக்சபா பிளஸ் ராஜ்யசபா ஜாயிண்ட் சிட்டிங் உட்கார்ந்தாங்கன்னா சிம்பிள் மெஜாரிட்டி தான் மணி பில்லுக்கு, அப்ப ஈஸியா பாஸ் ஆயிரும். ஆனா மணி பில்க்கு லோக்சபாலேயே சப்போர்ட் இல்ல அப்படின்னா, which means their own party people are opposing that particular money bill, which means the government has actually lost its confidence. கரெக்ட்டுங்களா? அதனாலதான் வந்து மணி பில்க்கு என்ன கொடுக்கல, ஜாயிண்ட் சிட்டிங் கொடுக்கல. பட் ஃபினான்ஸ் பில்லுக்கு வந்து ஜாயிண்ட் சிட்டிங்கிற ப்ரொவிஷன் இருக்கு. You get the difference? Then president can give his assent, comma, withhold the bill or can even return the bill for reconsideration. Okay, so இந்த ப்ரொவிஷன் வந்து ஆர்டினரி பில் மாதிரி தான் இருக்கு ஃபினான்ஸ் பில்க்கு. Okay, so this thing is like ordinary bill only. Fine, do you get the difference? Should we see it once more? Finance bill will have matters related to money bill or any other unimportant things in financial things. Okay, so it's a similarity with money bill அப்படினு பார்த்தோம்னா, yes, it is also passed only in, sorry, introduced. It is introduced only in Lok Sabha. It is introduced only on the recommendation of president, just like the money bill. However, it is different from money bill in three different aspects. That is, it can be either rejected or amended by the Rajya Sabha, which is like ordinary bill powers of Rajya Sabha, and president can give his assent, withhold the bill, or return the bill, just like the case of ordinary bill. Okay, and there is a provision of joint sitting summoned by the president in case of a deadlock. Okay, this thing is not found in money bill, because in case money bill is actually passed with simple majority, simple majority la lok sabhalaye adu pass agala appadina, it means the government has lost its popularity and confidence, ரைட்டா? ஸோ அந்த சிச்சுவேஷன்ல லோக்சபா பிளஸ் ராஜ்யசபா ரெண்டு பேரும் சேர்ந்து மணி பில்க்கு வந்து ஓட் பண்ணாங்கன்னா ஜாயிண்ட் சிட்டிங்ல என்ன ஆகும்? ஜஸ்ட் லைக் தட் பாஸ் ஆயிரும், despite of its own party members opposing it in the Lok Sabha. So that kind of a provision is not given for money bill. However, in case of finance bill, a joint sitting is allowed by the constitution. Okay, so these are the differences. Now coming to finance bill type 2. It is defined as a bill that solely deals with provisions involving expenditure from the Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, so it deals with provisions involving expenditures from Consolidated of India and does not include any matters of money bill. Okay, so மணி பில்லில் சொல்லப்பட்டது அல்லாம கன்சாலிடேட்டட் ஃபண்ட் ஆஃப் மணி இந்தியால இருந்து மணி எடுக்கிறதுக்கு டு கெட் or appropriate money from consolidated fund of India, then we use finance bill type 2. Okay, it is defined as a bill that solely deals with provisions involving consolidated fund of India mattum. Okay, only this one, and does not include any matter included under money bill. Article 110 ல சொல்லப்படாத ஏதாவது ஒரு மேட்டரா இருக்கணும், and it should deal with only consolidated fund of India வா இருக்கணும். That is when you can pass financial bills type 2. Okay, it is treated as an ordinary bill in all aspects. Okay, unlike financial bill type 1. Financial bill type 1 la money bill oda sila similarities irundhudu, like how it for its introduction, it was only allowed to be introduced in Lok Sabha. It was only allowed with the recommendation or the prior approval of the president, right? Finance bill type 1 money bill madriye, correcta? Ana finance bill type 2, by all means, okay, by all means it is like a ordinary bill only. Okay, so now coming to the special features. It cannot be passed by either house of the parliament unless the president has recommended them for consideration of the bill. Okay, okay, he should have recommended uh, for recommended that this particular house should be looking into it அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. It can be either rejected or amended by either house of the parliament. Okay, it can be rejected or amended, general bill mariye. There is a provision of joint sitting. Okay, there is a provision of joint sitting, and president can give his assent, withhold the bill, or can even return the bill for reconsideration. Okay, so regarding this point that you have posted, all finance bills are money bills, but all money bills are not finance bills. The thing is, because all finance bills or money bills abdina, even the unimportant things, okay, any supplementary thing about taxation can be brought about inside a money bill. Okay, ஒரு மணி பில்ல இம்பார்ட்டண்டா ஒரு லெட்ஸ் assume that we are going to impose a tax X. Okay, a tax X, so we are sending a money bill. Okay, okay, அதோட some financial aspect, some very trivial financial aspect, okay, of this particular tax X, of this tax X, okay, இத வந்து தனியா finance bill கூட பாஸ் பண்ணலாம். Okay, because it's not that very important. So any finance bill can become a money bill, meaning it's not that very important. Okay, it will have only very small provisions dealt in it. However, money bill has something huge like introduction of a new tax. So this money bill cannot become a finance bill. Okay, so that is the explanation for what you have posted. What do you mean by in public accounts? Wait, see, that is the National Calamity and Contingency Fund is a fund maintained by NDRF. Okay, National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA. Okay, அவங்க வச்சிருக்க ஃபண்டுக்கு பேர் தான் இதுங்க. Okay, that is different from what we are talking about. இது வந்து it is a set, it's a small amount maintained by the department or the ministries related. Okay, this is not lying with the president. President கீழ இருக்கிறதா Contingency Fund of India. Contingency Fund of India. Okay, this is a departmental or ministerial stuff. Okay, this is not the one held by president. Okay, that is different from this. Okay, so this is how the thing is, and president can give his assent, withhold the bill, or can even return the bill for reconsideration. Okay, so this is how it is carried out. Okay, hope the classification is clear and you get the difference between what money bill, finance bill, type 1 and type 2 are. Now let's go to passage of the budget, the stages involved. Okay, so budget, passage of budget in India is like a real celebration because it will have schemes for the ordinary people, it will have schemes for agriculture farmers, it will have schemes for traders, it will have schemes for the service sector, and not just schemes, it will have tax exemptions also, right? Tax exemptions also, then it will have some new incentives and things like that. So budget வந்து நம்ம கண்ட்ரில எப்பவுமே இட்ஸ் லைக் அ ஃபெஸ்டிவல் ஒன்லி. ஓகே, என்னைக்கு பட்ஜெட் நடக்குது அப்படிங்கறத வந்து எதிர்பார்த்து காத்திருப்பாங்க, யாருக்கு என்ன பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் அனலைஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க. அண்ட் ஆஃப்டர் மீடியா became very popular, 24 into 7 channels came into existence. It has become like, you know, it has become like 24 into 7, they, even before the passage of the bill, even before the bill is tabled, even before the parliament, you know, house comes, they go sit with the live cameras saying and predicting whatever is going to be there in the budget. So it's really funny how things have started turning this way, because without even reading what is given in the complete speech of the finance minister, they'll just give some predictions on this is going to happen, that is going to happen, this is effective, this is not effective. So yeah, so that is actually the problem with 24 into 7 sensational media in our country. Okay, now let's not go into that thing. So budget again, why we went there is budget is creation of budget. Yeah, nearly after months of discussions and very intensive and secretive meetings and all, they come up with budgets. Okay, so the people who are involved in the preparation of budget, they stay in one place for nearly months and create the budget documents, because the tax implications, like if corporate tax cut நடக்க போகுது, அல்லது இன்கம் டாக்ஸ்ல வந்து இந்த மாதிரியான இதெல்லாம் நடக்க போகுது, ரிஃபார்ம்ஸ் நடக்க போகுதுங்கிறதெல்லாம் முன்னாடியே வெளியே கம்யூனிகேட் ஆயிடுச்சு அப்படின்னா, ஹோர்டிங் கேன் take place, or people can become illegally they'll do something. So that is why it is mostly kept as a secret till the time finance minister makes his or her budget speech, and it's uploaded in the gadget. So that's how it happens. So this is the thing about budget. So I already told you, budget as a word is not found in the Constitution of India. It is called the annual financial statement, because it is an annual stock taking of the demands and the amount of expenditure that's being done. Okay, so now passage of budget in stages. என்னென்ன ஸ்டேஜஸ் அப்படின்னா, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் the budget will be presented in the parliament, right? Immediately after the finance minister comes to the thing parliament, and when they are ready for it, it will be presented to the parliament. Okay, the finance minister will take a leave, meaning she will get the approval of the speaker and the rest of the assembly to present the bill to the house. Then there will be discussion. Okay, then there will be some amount of discussion, not the very day the budget speech has been made, but there will be 1 or 2 3 days after presentation of budget. Then there will also be few days after a gap. Okay, let's say 2 or 3 weeks, after which again the parliament will come back together. The house will assume its general session, and they'll start working on it. Then there will be scrutiny by departmental committees. Yes, so now the committees have to look into it. என்னென்ன ப்ராப்ளம்லாம் இருக்கு, ஓகே இவ்வளோ ஃபண்ட்ஸ் தேவையா தேவையில்லையா, இந்த மாதிரி ஸ்க்ரூட்டினி அண்ட் ஆல் வில் பி டன். Then voting will happen. Okay, now that the committee reads about it and gives a valuable opinion, now they will vote depending on, okay, this much can be granted or not, இவ்வளோ அமௌண்ட் உண்மையாலுமே இந்த மினிஸ்ட்ரிக்கு போகணுமா வேண்டாமா, இவங்க அதை effective-ஆ யூட்டிலைஸ் பண்ணுவாங்களா மாட்டாங்களா, இது நெசசரியா இல்லையா. Okay, so the voting will take place. Then what will happen, there will be something called passage of appropriation bill. Okay, we'll see what is appropriation bill. Appropriating an account or appropriation of wealth, what does it mean? Appropriation na என்னங்க? Appropriation of wealth ன்னு சொல்லுவோம்ல. What is it? I was using the word frequently when I was talking about Consolidated Fund of India. Appropriating the money out of Consolidated Fund of India அப்படின்னா taking it out, consolidating it and taking it out for a purpose. Okay, so that is called appropriation. Passage of appropriation bill, then again finance bill. So இது வந்து எப்படி ஸ்டேஜஸ்ல நடக்குது அப்படிங்கறத after break we will see. Okay, so it's tea break for 15 minutes. We'll see you after that. Thank you. Back. Now let's continue with the passage of budget. Okay, we'll see the last three stages in detail because that's the important part. The first three, it's very easy, right? You just finance minister will present it to the house, then there will be discussion, then there will be scrutiny by departmental committees. This will be a break for the session, okay, like 3 to 4 weeks. Then they will come back and then they'll look into this part, okay, voting on demands for grants, passage of appropriation bill, and finance passage of finance bill. All these things will happen a little later. Okay, so now let's go to the fourth stage, voting on demands for grants. So what happens is, இது எந்த ஸ்டேஜ்ல நடக்குது அப்படின்னா, it happens after report by the committees. Okay, so parliamentary committees, they are of different types. Okay, few of which we'll be dealing with today and the rest of it will be your homework for you to go read. I'll just tell you what are the facts about each committee which you should know. Okay, so just make a tabulation of those facts and read it for your exam. That will be sufficient. Okay, but the important committees we will be seeing it today. But in general, why parliamentary committees are important? Okay, parliamentary committees can be established as departmental standing committees, meaning throughout the year they will be functioning. Okay, or they can be select committees, or they can be other committees which are for specific purposes and for a short duration. Okay, so you need to understand something. I'm talking about the fourth stage, and the fifth stage is next, during which we'll be discussing about it. So, the departmental standing committee, select committee, specific committees, what are they doing actually? The purpose of having adjoint committees in parliament is that the parliament, which is functioning like, let's say, 30 to 40 days in each session, will not be able to come up with uh, all the resources necessary to have a bill passed. For instance, there needs to be research, right? When it recently you saw the assisted reproductive technology related bills, right? So such a thing, DNA technology, or something related to 5G, some policy implication, all these things require subject experts to come and work with the parliamentarians, because the MLAs and MPs in our country, the rulers, are really not subject experts, right? Actually, this criticism is there even on the bureaucrats, right? Some IAS and IPS officers are generally left to be secretaries in different departments. How will a person who is an engineering graduate take care of the agriculture department or health, for instance? There needs to be someone who knows the subject, right? So adhe madri, sometimes the parliament will not be completely equipped to deal with subjects that are new, that are upcoming, that are challenging. For instance, MPs may not be aware of the cyber security threats, the technicalities of it. They will know what a threat, cyber threat is, but however the nitty-gritties for which a legislation is passed, they may not be aware of all those areas, right? So there comes the difficulty, and therefore they'll have, committees attached to the departments or the parliamentary secretariat, which will take care of the technical governance issues related to legislations. Okay, so that is why we have committees, and some of the committees which are sub ought to look into budget will look into it. Okay, they'll see the provisions, read class by class, look into the demands, the necessity for all those, etc. So after they provide the reports, after the committee provides the reports, then happens this stage, voting on the demands. Okay, so I already told you demands are made by different ministries, okay, and different departments, depending on the requirement of money for the rest of the year. நீங்க financial yearங்கிறது சார் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணியிருப்பாங்க, கரெக்ட்டுங்களா? ஸோ இந்த இயர் ஏப்ரல்ல இருந்து நெக்ஸ்ட் மந்த் மார்ச் வரைக்கும் அந்த மாதிரி இருந்தது. நவ் நம்ம இப்போ பட்ஜெட் வந்து ஏர்லியராகவே வந்து சப்மிட் பண்றோம், தட் இஸ் ஃபெப். ஸோ 1 year ஃப்ரம் திஸ் point. That will be one financial year. So on the financial year க்கு தேவையான என்னென்ன மணி வேணுங்கிறத they will be providing as a demand. If it is accepted by the parliament, then it means it is granted. Okay, so that is the voting on demand for grants. Demands presented ministry wise, I already told you each ministry gives, we need this, we need that அப்படிங்கறத they will come up with. Demand becomes grant if voted. Okay, that also I explained. Then exclusive power of Lok Sabha. Okay, so voting on the demands, it is a exclusive power of Lok Sabha. Okay, ஏன்னா நம்ம பட்ஜெட் மணி பில் பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் லோக்சபாக்கு தான் அதிக பவர்ஸ்ங்கிறது we have already seen, right? So exclusive powers lie with Lok Sabha. Consolidated fund charged expenditure is not subject to voting. This is an important point to remember. I already told you, explained you the difference between charged expenditure, that is non-votable expenditure, and votable expenditure. So budget oda other parts எல்லாமே votable தான், except this consolidated fund ல இருந்து எடுக்கக்கூடிய this charged expenditure. So அதை வந்து இங்க vote பண்ண முடியாது. அது budget documentல ஒரு பார்ட்டா இருக்கும். However, அதுக்கான டிமாண்ட வந்து vote பண்ண மாட்டாங்க. Straight away it is assumed that it is passed. I told you, no, in consolidated fund slide you would have seen. Okay, it is that whether it is the finance bill or money bill is passed or not, irrespective of the passage of the bill, the charged expenditure charged on the consolidated fund of India is said to be appropriated, meaning it's said to be taken. It will be taken for giving to for or spending for the purpose for which it's done. Okay, so in the pointல ஒருவேளை if they find that some grant, some demand is not right in a, they feel, for instance, let's suppose under mm, uh, let's suppose Ayushman Bharat, let's suppose that they have one C of 1 crore of allocation. I am assuming a very small amount. Okay, 1 crore of allocation for this. Okay, so this has been made by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Okay, they have asked. So now, if the parliamentarians, other than the ruling party members, if they feel that it is too much, or if they have grievances with this amount of allocation, the size of the allocation, or the policy itself, so what will they do? ஓகே, பார்லிமெண்ட் அப்ரூவல் ஓட்டிங்னு நம்ம பேசுறோமே, அப்போ ஓட் பண்ணலைன்னா அதுக்கு ஏதாவது, அதாவது அந்த அதுல சேஞ்ச் ஏதாவது கொண்டு வரதுக்கு ஏதாவது டூல்ஸ் இருக்கா அப்படின்னா இருக்கு. ஓகே, ஸோ த டிமாண்ட் ஹாஸ் பீன் given to you. It is already endorsed by the report by the committees. But if you want to show your lack of trust, or your problem with your criticism about that particular move, what can be done is there are cut motions which you can move, that is the parliamentarians can move. Okay, the MPs can move these three motions. Okay, policy cut motion, economy cut motion, or token cut motion. So these three have some distinct purpose. Policy cut meaning, if you are moving a motion in the parliament for policy cut, it means you are disapproving the policy underlying that particular demand. ஓகே, ஒரு புதுசா ஒரு ஸ்கீம் இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்றாங்க அல்லது ஒரு பாலிசி இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்றாங்க, யூ ஆர் டிசப்ரூவிங் தட் பாலிசி இட் செல்ஃப் அப்படின்னா, தென் தட் மோஷன் இஸ் கால்ட் அ பாலிசி கட் மோஷன். So as a symbol of it, rupees 1 cut of the motion is necessary, required அப்படின்னு ஒரு சிம்பாலிக்கா கேட்பாங்க. Okay, then comes economy cut. Economy cut meaning demand be reduced by specific amount. Economically இல்லன்னு சொல்லுவோம்ல, meaning இந்த பர்பஸ்க்கு வந்து இவ்வளோ தேவைப்படாது, we are spending more maybe, so maybe we should reduce expenditure. Okay, so demand be reduced by some amount. 1C கேக்குறீங்க, no, but let's give 90 lakhs or something lesser, something like that. Okay, something lesser. So you are asking them to look into that, reconsider it. Okay, then token cut. What is token cut? Means specific grievance that can be set right by the government. For example, a provision inside this Ayushman Bharat is a problem. You have no problem with the scheme, the policy itself, but there is some change that is necessary. Okay, it is in the capacity of the government to do it. It is in the capacity of the government to modify that particular thing and make it more effective. Apdina, you can ask for a token cut, meaning, see, I'm bringing your attention to this, you could do this better, so try to improvise it. Okay, so these are called the token cut motions, economy motions, and policy cut motions. So now, இப்போ என்னாச்சு, demands have been put forward to the House of Parliament. They have now expressed their approval or disapproval. Approval through saying yes to the demands. If they have some grievances, they can express through these kind of motions. That is what we have seen at this stage. Now moving to the next stage. So what is called appropriation? What is appropriation bill? Appropriation bill is a money bill that allows the government to withdraw funds from the Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, you are appropriating money out of Consolidated Fund of India abdina, it means you are withdrawing money from the Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, to meet its expenses during the course of a financial year. So இது வரைக்கும் during the voting on demands, we were considering whether that much is necessary or not, whether that is necessary or not, and how much of it is necessary, that money. Correct? But now what is happening? They are trying to take the money, withdraw the money from the Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, now the debates and deliberations are over. The issue has been settled. Now let's withdraw the money. அப்படிங்கிறது தான் the appropriation bill. Okay, so as per Article 114 of the Constitution, the government can withdraw money from the Consolidated Fund only after receiving approval from the Parliament. Okay, so now if Parliament agrees, if MPs in the Lok Sabha agree, okay, simple majority la agree பண்ணிட்டாங்க அப்படின்னா, what happens? Using Article 114 of the Constitution, through appropriation bill, the money can be withdrawn from the Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, now the finance bill contains provisions on financing the expenditure of the government, and appropriation bill specifies the quantum and purpose for withdrawing money. I think now Tarani's doubt would have been addressed. Right? So generally money below, finance below, இதெல்லாம் எதை பத்தி பேசிட்டு இருக்கோம்? It talks about the general provisions on how to finance. Okay, this expenditure is there, how we are going to do it. We are raising this much income through this particular tax, so we are spending on this scheme. This general provisions are dealt with through a finance bill. So what is appropriation bill then? Appropriation bill specifies the quantum and purpose for withdrawing money. Okay, how much of money has to be withdrawn and for what purpose? Okay, that is clearly said through a finance bill. Okay, then it is introduced to appropriate money out of Consolidated Fund of India for grants voted by Lok Sabha, charged expenditure. So what appropriation bill does is it helps to withdraw funds from this fund for two things. One, the charged expenditure of India, which is explicit, then also for money which the Parliament has granted. Vote on demands for grants in நம்ம பார்த்தோம் இல்லையா? Yes, so demands have been given and the Parliament has granted to take that amount of money from the Consolidated Fund இல்லையா? So that money as well as the charged expenditure will now be taken out, withdrawn from the Consolidated Fund for the future expenditure, for the future 1 year financial year expenses meet பண்றதுக்கு. Okay, yes. Now coming to the procedure followed, the Parliament introduces the appropriation bill, lower house la. Okay, after discussion, voting on demand for grants. Okay, appropriation bill is for everything. That is why it is said grants voted also. So grants voting will happen when finance bill or money bill has to be introduced. No, that is the budget document. Right? So grants are voted. Voting part is definitely bill, because that is the votable part. Charged expenditure is not part of this bill. They will, however, be approved, right? So this part, which means finance bill or the money bill which has been passed. Okay, so that has to be appropriated. Appropriation bill is required for this only mainly. Whether there is appropriation bill or not, they will anyway take the charged expenditure and use it for giving pensions, allowance, everything. Appropriation bill is necessary for this particular purpose. Okay, yeah. So the appropriation bill is first passed by Lok Sabha, then sent to the Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha has the power to recommend any amendments in this bill. So this is very important. Okay, in case of money bill, amendments cannot be proposed by Rajya Sabha. Even if they propose, then it has no powers, right? However, in the case of this appropriation bill, Rajya Sabha has the power to recommend any amendments. It can say that something has to be amended. However, it is the prerogative of the Lok Sabha to either accept or reject. Yes, Rajya Sabha can come up with recommendation. However, it has to be accepted finally or not lies with the Lok Sabha only. It's not compulsion. Even if Rajya Sabha proposes a amendment to the appropriation bill, it's not necessary that the Lok Sabha approves it. Even without that amendment, the Lok Sabha can still go ahead with it. Okay, so that is the thing. Yeah. Now coming to the unique feature of the appropriation bill is its automatic repeal clause, whereby the act gets repealed by itself after it meets its statutory purpose. Okay. So when we talk about appropriation bill, when it is passed, it becomes a appropriation act. ஓகே ஸோ அப்படின்னா ஒவ்வொரு வருஷம் அப்ராப்ரியேட் பண்றதுக்கு ஒரு ஆக்ட் ப்ரொடியூஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருப்பாங்க. அப்ப அதை வந்து அப்படியே யூஸ்லயே இருக்குமா அப்படின்னு கேட்டா நோ, இட் இஸ் ரிப்பீல்ட் ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கலி. Repeal meaning you take back the law, you retract the law. Okay, if any act is passed, okay, it will be there for some period of time or it is for indefinite time. However, if you feel that the usefulness of the act is over, then you can repeal a act, retract. That means it is no more valid. Okay, it need not be implemented hereafter. Okay, that is the thing. Okay, so this appropriation bill can automatically, it will automatically go redundant. Okay, it is itself understood, it will be available only for a short period of time. Once the amount is taken out of the Consolidated Fund of India, this bill or act loses its relevance. Okay, yes. Now coming to the next thing. So what happens as a result? After appropriation bill, the complete finance bill must be passed and assented within 75 days. This 75 days, it has to be assented. The time limit has been set through Provisional Collection of Taxes Act 1931. So this only said within 75 days, finance bill has to be passed. Okay, budget pass பண்றது this particular பார்ட்டுக்குள்ள பண்ணணும் அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து it was said through this particular act. Okay, then interim budget. Okay, so when the elections are approaching, it is impractical to present a full budget. Okay, now if 2019 we are seeing an election அப்படின்னா the party which is ruling might change, ரைட்டா? ஃபெப்ரவரியில் இப்போ வந்து பட்ஜெட் ப்ரொடியூஸ் பண்ணும். ஓகே, ஸோ மேல எலெக்ஷன்ஸ் ஜென்ரலாக நடக்கும். ஸோ இந்த பாயிண்ட்ல ஃபெப்ரவரியிலேருந்து நெக்ஸ்ட் ஃபெப் வரைக்கும் இவங்களே வந்து பட்ஜெட் செட் பண்ணிட்டு போயிட்டாங்கன்னா, அப்போ இன்கமிங் த நியூலி எலெக்டட் கவர்மெண்ட்டுக்கு வந்து தே வில் நாட் ஹாவ் லீவே, ரைட்? ஆக்சுவலி பீப்புள் பாப்புலர் ரெப்ரசன்டேஷனால எலெக்ட் பண்ண பீப்புள் ஒன்லி ஷுட் டிசைட் த பட்ஜெட், ரைட்? ஸோ ஹவு கேன் தீஸ் பீப்புள் டூ? So that is why they came up with this particular thing called the interim budget. இடைக்கால budget. இடைக்காலம்னா என்ன? It's a short period between two important events. So it's a time in which the already existing assembly is going to get dissolved and new assembly is going to come in through fresh elections. So in between that part, அப்பவும் money தேவைப்படும். கரெக்டா? Though the government is not properly in place, a caretaker government will be in place. Okay, caretaker government na nothing but the previous government but they will not have that much of powers and functions. Okay, they cannot have their complete power exercised. Okay, that's the difference. So that government will however be in place. If election நடத்தணும்னாலும் election நடத்துறதுக்கு money வேணும்ல. கரெக்டா? அப்ப அந்த in between periodல there should be money and there should be budget, right? So in that case, to fill such situations, there is something called interim budget. So, okay, it is a budget for the transition period. That's why it's called a budget for the transition period. It deals with both receipts and expenditure. Okay, it will talk about incoming money, okay, the tax income, and also the expenditure that has to be made. Interim budget is passed after discussion in Lok Sabha. Okay, this one is passed after discussion in Lok Sabha. So, as usual, okay, Rajya Sabha has not much of powers here. The constitution gives the government the power to make changes in the tax regime in the interim budget. Though, it is only a budget for the transition period, the constitution still allows that the government which is even going out, okay, இப்போ இவங்க தான் வந்து திரும்பி ரூலிங் பார்ட்டியா வருவாங்களா இல்லையான்னு கூட தெரியாது. Election is going to come. In the situationல கூட they can still come up with, changes in the tax structure in the interim budget itself. Even if it is not a complete new budget, even in the interim budget they can come up with tax changes if required. Okay, so yeah, coming to the next point, vote on account அப்படின்னா என்ன? So passed through interim budget. இதுவும் interim budgetல தான் வந்து pass பண்ணப்படும். But vote on account is different from interim budget. எப்படின்னு பார்க்கலாம். A special provision by which the government obtains parliament's approval for funds sufficient to incur expenditure for a part of the year till the formation of a new government. A vote on account contain only the expenditure. Okay, இப்ப இப்போ வந்து 2022-21 நியூ கவர்மெண்ட் ஃபார்ம் ஆக போகுது அப்படின்னு வச்சுப்போம். ஓகே, லெட்ஸ் சப்போஸ் அது தமிழ்நாடு ஸ்டேட் லெஜிஸ்லேட்டிவ் அசம்பிளின்னு வச்சுக்கலாம். ஓகே, இப்போ இந்த ஃப்ரெஷ் எலெக்ஷன் வரப்போகுது. இந்த டைம்ல என்ன பண்ணணும், கொஞ்சம் வந்து பட்ஜெட் செட்டில் பண்ணணும். அப்போ வந்து அதை வந்து இடைக்கால பட்ஜெட் அல்லது இன்டரிம் பட்ஜெட்டா வந்து பாஸ் பண்றாங்க. இன்டரிம் பட்ஜெட்னா என்ன அப்படின்னா, இன்கம் எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர் ரெண்டு சைடுமே அட்ரஸ் பண்ணியிருந்ததுன்னா அது இன்டரிம் பட்ஜெட் பாஸ் பண்ணியிருக்காங்கன்னு அர்த்தம். Okay, if they have, if they are only taking out money, only taking money, okay, that is only incurring expenditure. Okay, they are not doing anything towards income. Okay, they are not doing anything towards income through the vote on account, but they are doing only taking a little amount of money for the short term period. Okay, that is the difference between interim budget and vote on accounts. Okay, so this is also passed by Lok Sabha without discussion. And yeah, this there you can see, here you see in budget, interim budget, it is passed after discussion. Correct? Then you see here passed by Lok Sabha without discussion. Why? It is just a expenditure. Okay, it is not, a thing that is going to be there forever. Okay, it's just a small part. So what they are doing, it's passed without discussion. It's not a loan. Why is government going to take money from itself as a loan? That doesn't make any sense, right? Why should that be a loan? The government machinery needs money for functioning for a few months, okay, when the government is not in place, and that is why it is taking money in advance. Okay, so that is why we have instruments like interim budget and vote on accounts when a proper complete year budget cannot be done. Okay, so other than the money, no, see, that is entirely different. How is this everyday thing different from what is done for a financial year? You need to understand one thing. Yes, GST is a tax structure that came through statute. Okay, and states are getting money from center because There is a mechanism called GST, CGST, SGST, IGST. இந்த மெக்கானிசம் பற்றியெல்லாம் படிச்சிருப்பீங்க, கரெக்டா? ஸோ சென்ட்ரல் பூலுக்கு வந்துட்டு தான் அதுலேருந்து ஸ்டேட் பூலுக்கு வந்து மணி அலோகேட் ஆகும். ஓகே, ஸோ ஹவு மச் அமௌண்ட் ஆஃப் மணி ஹேஸ் டு பி அலோகேட்டட் டு தி ஸ்டேட்டுங்கிறதே இட் இஸ் டிவைடட் பை த ஃபினான்ஸ் கமிஷன் தான். ஓகே, the recent finance commission, how much has it said? 41 percentage, right? 41 percentage of allocation for states in the central pool. Okay, central pool, state pool la சொல்லுவோம். Okay, this will be dealt with in detail when in your economy class, right? So this thing in the madri, this this is just talking about GST. இது இல்லாம பல taxes இந்த consolidated fund குள்ள இருக்கும், correct? It's not just GST, other money will also be there. But all this taking away thing, center state transaction law, it is not dealt with in constitution, meaning center will give this much of money, not this much, center will share the revenue with the state in these circumstances nu mattum da mention pannirkom. Everyday day to day affairs will not find mention in your constitution. Okay, kindly understand these things. Okay, see, you are, when we are talking about appropriation bill or when we are talking about budget, we are talking about the entire functioning of the government. Okay, that is a huge thing, out of which sharing GST is just one part, right? The entire country and financial mechanism is running only through the budget. Okay, some day to day things are not, explicitly dealt with in the budget itself. இவ்வளோ மினிஸ்ட்ரிக்கு இவ்வளோ அமௌண்ட் அலோகேட் பண்ணிட்டா அந்த இயர் ஃபுல்லா அதுக்குள்ளேயே ஓடிட்டு இருக்கும். அதே மாதிரி தான் ஜிஎஸ்டி. ஓகே, திஸ் மச் இஸ் டிவிசிபிள் பூல் ஆஃப் டாக்ஸேஷன் அப்படின்னு செட் பண்ணிட்டாங்க அப்படின்னா within that it happens. Okay, so these things are not constitutional stuff. Okay, yeah. Now coming to other grants. So now that we have, the money settled through um, bills, budget and finance and money bills, etc., etc., the whole exercise is over. There can also be times when money is required. Okay, there might be new situations arising. Okay, so budget is an ordinary estimate of income and expenditure. Okay, it's ordinary, generally ஒவ்வொரு வருஷமும் பண்ற ஒரு எக்ஸசைஸ் டாஸ்க். Okay, extraordinary circumstances and special circumstances however come up. Okay, then we need other grants. Okay, for instance, COVID. Okay, did we imagine COVID coming in the month of Feb before passage of budget? No. So in all these circumstances, when extraordinary circumstances come up, we need something called grants. Okay, other grants other than what is mentioned in the budget. So what are these other grants அப்படினு பார்த்தோம்னா, this one is additional grant. What is additional grant? Already money has been given for the current financial year, but it is not enough. For example, மன்ரேகாக்கு கொடுத்த allocate பண்ண finance எல்லாமே முடிஞ்சிருச்சு, it's over. So what we need more money. There are 2 more months in this financial year அப்படினா, that is additional grant can be given. Okay, an example is given in the slide itself, you can read it at your pace. Okay, yeah, something new comes up, so something new you want to do, so additional expenditure is necessary. Then what you call as supplementary grant. What is supplementary grant? Okay, I made a mistake. Okay, so yeah, no, it's not a mistake, but when you fall short of money பத்தல இன்னும் வந்து expenditure இருக்கு அப்படிங்கும்போது, if you get it from the parliament, then it is called supplementary or additional grant, meaning if there is an ongoing scheme. Okay, there is already a scheme in place, it's not new, but you want some more money for it, then you get supplementary grants, or what you call as additional grants. The Comptroller and Auditor General of India brings such excesses to the notice of the Parliament. The Public Accounts Committee also gives such recommendations. The immediate passage will be from Contingency Fund of India. Okay, if President only will announce that Contingency Fund of India, he will give. But the central government also has powers to give some amount of money through grants. Okay, but however, in case of disasters and calamities, the first thing to be done will be the first set of money will come from the Contingency Fund of India. Okay, yeah. So again and again, you people are asking the same questions. Okay, fine. Excess grant. Excess grant, na, it is granted when money has been spent on any service during a financial year in excess of the amount granted for that service. Okay, if a manrega this much amount of money is already given, let's say 100 crore. Okay, but பத்தல அப்படிங்கிறதுனால வேற எங்கிருந்தோ கவர்மெண்ட்டுக்கு இருந்த அலோகேஷன்ல இருந்து some 20 crores, some 20 crores they are using on this particular thing அப்படின்னா, then what will they do? That amount has to be compensated, right, in the next budget. Okay, so that is taken care of by the excess grant. Then what is called vote of credit? It is granted for meeting an unexpected demand upon resources of India. Okay, so ரொம்ப அன்எக்ஸ்பெக்டடான ரொம்ப முக்கியமான expenditure இது. For example, any defense related stuff or anything, and we need to immediately do something அப்படிங்கும்போது it's called a vote of credit. Okay, and it is like a blank check given to the executive by the Lok Sabha. Okay, immediately நம்ம மூவ் பண்ண வேண்டிய கண்டிஷன் இருக்கு, அதனால go ahead, I am giving you this much money அப்படின்னு சொல்லி எக்ஸிக்யூட்டிவ்க்கு it is granted for a special purpose. Okay, அது இந்த ஃபினான்ஷியல் இயர்ல ஒரு முக்கியமான விஷயமா அப்படியெல்லாம் எதுவும் இருக்காது. It just will be a ordinary thing but a special thing. Okay, that will be getting a exceptional grant. Then what is called token grant? It is granted when funds to meet the proposed expenditure on a new service can be made available by reappropriation. Reappropriation meaning already we have taken money out of Consolidated Fund of India. If that has to again happen, then it is through reappropriation. A demand for the grant of a token sum of rupees 1 is submitted to the vote of the Lok Sabha and is assented and funds are made available. So this process is called reappropriation. Meaning ஏற்கனவே appropriate பண்ணி கொடுக்கப்பட்டிருக்க மணிக்கு மேல திரும்பவும் bill pass பண்ணி இன்னும் மணி எடுக்கிறதுக்கு பேரு reappropriation. Okay, vote of credit, yeah, it could be, even COVID could be an example. Yeah. Then special position. Now we are going to the special position of Rajya Sabha. We have always seen throughout the parliament thing that Lok Sabha has this extra power, this extra power, special power. But does that mean Rajya Sabha has no special powers? It has two. Okay, Article 249. Article 249 படி ஸ்டேட் சப்ஜெக்ட்ஸ் நம்ம சப்ஜெக்ட்ஸ் பிரிச்சிருக்கோம்ல, லெஜிஸ்லேட்டிவ் ஜூரிஸ்டிக்ஷன். ஓகே, ஸ்டேட் கன்கரண்ட் சென்டர் நம்ம we have classified, right? So the state subjects la only state can legislate. This is how we have studied. But however, there is an exception. Okay, when Rajya Sabha under Article 249 allows the parliament to, the entire parliament to legislate on a state subject, it will be considered right. Okay, because Rajya Sabha is house of states, right? Lok Sabha is a representation of people, Rajya Sabha is representation of states. Subjectல legislate பண்ண வேண்டிய necessity central governmentக்கு வந்துச்சு அப்படின்னா, Rajya Sabha can approve through Article 249 that Parliament can pass a law in the state subject. Okay, so this is a special power vested with Rajya Sabha, and this power is vested with Rajya Sabha because Rajya Sabha is the representation of states. Yes. Then creation of new all India services. If any new all India services like IAS, IPS kind of all India services have to be created, then 300 and under Article 312, Rajya Sabha has to approve it. Okay, Rajya Sabha is having an upper hand in creation of new all India services. Now coming to the committees. Before that, ma'am, token grants means excess amount. What are you asking? Yeah, it's necessity for okay, maybe they exhausted the money, or the proposed expenditure on a new service you know is necessary. இப்போ புதுசா வந்து எக்ஸ்ட்ராவா தேவைப்படுது. அந்த மாதிரியான சிச்சுவேஷன்ல okay, a small reappropriation through again passing through the appropriation bill and again taking a chunk of money from the CFI, they can be given. Okay, yeah. So one thing is very evident through you asking many questions about these areas. It's very evident that you have not gone through UPSC question paper for prelims so far. It's very evident because anyone who has gone through the question papers will know where and where not UPSC will ask questions and where to concentrate and where not to. Okay, so it's high time for you to go read your question papers properly. Now, coming to the Public Accounts Committee, Estimates Committee, Committee on Public Undertakings, and DS Committee. So, now what I would do is I'll deal with these four committees. However, your book has a lot, okay, which you can read through. You have to first see when you're reading committees, the first thing that you need to see is meaning through an act, just a executive thing. Okay, so this distinction you need to make for every committee that you are reading about. Okay, that's the first thing. Now we will see about PAC first, Public Accounts Committee. So it has its origin in the 1919 Act. Okay, the next thing that you need to remember is 22 members, 15 Lok Sabha members plus 7 Rajya Sabha members. Their tenure is 1 year. Okay, so remember that Lok Sabha, need not know the numbers exactly, but know that both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha members can be part of it. Okay, and the members are elected by proportional representation. Okay, this is very important because a committee has election through proportional representation. So you remember it. Okay, one more important point to remember: minister can't be a member. Only MPs can be members. Okay, a minister can't be a member of Public Accounts Committee. Okay, so chairperson of this committee, PAC, will conventionally be opposition party. Conventionally, which means it's not mentioned in the constitution, right? So it's conventionally occupied by the opposition party and he is appointed by the speaker. Okay, so what Public Accounts Committee does is it examines the CAG report, okay, and it sees the finance accounts and everything. And it doesn't see report on public undertakings allotted to Committee on Public Undertakings. Here you see there is a committee, right? Committee on Public Undertakings. So இதுக்கு allocate பண்ண finance மட்டும் இந்த PAC-ஓட இதுக்கு கீழ வராது. Other things can be seen. Other financial matters can be looked upon by the Public Accounts Committee. Okay, and it can seek CAG's support for looking into the finance. Okay, and it is not executive body, so it cannot order anything. Okay, it's just a committee which will supervise, give recommendations, that kind. Okay, so that is about PAC. Then coming to Estimates Committee. So again, first thing, it is a 2018 mains question. Okay, sometimes these committees could be asked in mains. Okay, so yeah, Estimates Committee, it is a standing finance committee. It again has its origin in 1921. Okay, and இதுல வந்து one important thing is Lok Sabha members only. PAC பாத்தீங்கன்னா Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha members பார்த்தோம், but இங்க Lok Sabha members only. Okay, here also proportional representation through single transferable vote, same procedure, again the same 1 year tenure. Okay, and there is no minimum number of members. Okay, there can be as many as the speaker decides, and the chairman usually ruling party is a ruling party member. Okay, and this is called a continuous economy committee. Continuous economy committee. ஏன் அப்படின்னா throughout the year it looks into the details, okay, on financial things. And but the thing is, no expert advice by CAG. Okay, so they are not experts in dealing with finance. Okay, it's just estimation, seeing the amount and things like that, whereas this is kind of a the public accounts committee, it requires some expertise. Okay, yes. Now, coming to Committee on Public Undertakings. Okay, so Committee on Public Undertakings, இதுலயும் Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha, both members will be there, 1 year tenure, the same proportional representation. Ministers can't be members, is true for here. Estimates Committee also. Okay, அங்கேயும் ministers can't be members, remember that. Okay, here also ministers not members. Here chairman is from Lok Sabha only. Chairman is from Lok Sabha only. This is important to remember. So this is one key difference that you need to remember in Committee on Public Undertakings. Okay. So other things you have departmental standing committees அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. Okay, each departmental standing committee will have 31 members, 21 from Lok Sabha, 10 from Rajya Sabha. So these are nominated by the speaker and the chairman respectively, and ministers will not be part of this departmental standing committees also. Then their term will be 1 year. Okay, they'll be looking into the departmental issues, meaning ministerial over portfolio kila அந்த மாதிரி. Okay, so there is something called another committee called Committee on Privileges, which is continuously in news. Okay, to see what Committee on Privileges is, we need to first know what privileges are, right? So let's see that. Parliamentary privileges. Parliamentary privileges are certain rights and immunities enjoyed by members of parliament individually or collectively. Okay, சில எக்ஸெப்ஷன்ஸ் அல்லது அவங்களுக்குன்னு சில உரிமைகள் அல்லது அவங்களுக்குன்னு சில இம்யூனிட்டிஸ் இருக்கும். ஓகே, those could be individual. For individual parliamentariansக்குன்னு சில privileges இருக்கு, கலெக்டிவா எல்லா பார்லிமெண்டேரியன்ஸ்க்கும் சேர்ந்தும் சில ப்ரிவிலேஜஸ் இருக்கு. ஸோ பிரீச் ஆஃப் திஸ் ப்ரிவிலேஜ் வில் பி லுக்ட் அப்பான் பை த ப்ரிவிலேஜஸ் கமிட்டி. யாராவது வந்து ப்ரிவிலேஜஸை வந்து மிஸ்யூஸ் பண்றாங்களா அப்படிங்கிறத பார்த்துட்டு இருப்பாங்க. அண்ட் இட் இஸ் பனிஷபிள் அண்டர் லா ஆஃப் பார்லிமெண்ட். ஓகே, திஸ் யூ நீட் டு ரிமெம்பர். நவ் collective privileges என்ன அப்படின்னா right to publish debates and proceedings. Okay, the parliamentarians are given the permission to publish debates and proceedings. However, the secret meetings cannot be published. Okay, that is of national importance and significance. Then right to exclude strangers, yes, they have the privilege. In the particular important is a matter of sensation, so strangers cannot be a part of this thing அப்படிங்கிறதுனால அதை வந்து அவங்கள ரிமூவ் பண்றதுக்கான கலெக்டிவ் ப்ரிவிலேஜ் அவங்களுக்கு இருக்கு. ஓகே, தென் ரைட் டு பனிஷ் மெம்பர்ஸ் அண்ட் அவுட்சைடர்ஸ் ஃபார் பிரீச் ஆஃப் ப்ரிவிலேஜ். ஒருவேளை யாராவது ஒருத்தங்க அவங்களுக்கு கொடுக்கப்பட்ட இம்யூனிட்டியை மிஸ்யூஸ் பண்ணாங்கன்னா தே கேன் பனிஷ் parliamentarians themselves can punish another parliamentarian. Okay, another MP. So that is the thing. Right to regulate the internal affairs of the house. Yes, together they can say, see, this particular instrument is missing, tool is missing in our parliament, maybe we can introduce such a thing. இந்த 0 hour இப்படி ஃபங்க்ஷன் பண்ணலாம், சில பார்லிமெண்டரி கன்வென்ஷன்ஸை அவங்களே வந்து மாடிஃபை பண்ணிக்கலாம். ஸோ தே கேன் ரெகுலேட் தி இன்டர்னல் அஃபேர்ஸ் ஆஃப் தேர் ஓன். தென் இண்டிவிஜுவலாக அவங்களுக்கு என்னென்ன ப்ரிவிலேஜஸ் இருக்குது அப்படின்னா ஃப்ரீடம் ஆஃப் ஸ்பீச், ஃப்ரீடம் ஃப்ரம் அரெஸ்ட், exemption from arrest only when the session is going on. Okay, exemption from attendance as witnesses when the session is going on. Okay, because they are in an important political duty. Okay, they should not be disturbed when the session is going on for that reason. And as individuals they have their right and uh, privilege to talk about, because they are representatives who are deciding this, so they can express their opinion with their free will. So yes, with this we are coming to the end of the parliament thing. Okay, the other parts, whichever it is, it's so easy, you can read on your own. If there is anything very important and that you cannot understand, bring it to our notice, we'll be clarifying about it. And the next class, Nishant sir will be taking up. He'll be teaching judiciary tribunals and some important areas. After that, again, we'll resume for election commission, finance commission, and things like that. Okay. So, thank you, everyone. Hope I covered to your expectations. And if there are any doubts, you can always contact us. And thank you.